think for a moment about all the incredible work your body does every single second, right? Without you even
Like
asking.
pretty mind-boggling when you stop to consider it.
Totally. And today we're going to plunge into a system that's, well, absolutely vital for keeping you going, but it's probably not one you think about much. The lymphatic system.
That's right. It's this fascinating, really intricate network,
Hmm.
always working kind of behind the scenes in your body.
Exactly. We're talking about a whole web of vessels, organs, tissues, and it has some huge jobs,
Hmm.
like draining fluids from your tissues, moving fats you absorb from food, and, playing a massive role in your immune system.
It really is a multitasker,
Yeah.
always contributing to your overall health in these three really key ways.
It's kind of like your circulatory system, isn't it? You've got blood flowing through that network.
Yeah, similar concept.
The lymphatic system has its own fluid lymph moving through its own vessels. But here's what's really interesting, I think. You probably learned all about your heart and blood vessels back in
Yeah.
school, right? That's pretty standard stuff.
Sure, the basics.
But the lymphatic system, with like the spleen, lymph nodes, it often stays kind of mysterious, less known.
That's a great point. Your circulatory system definitely gets uh, more of the spotlight, but the lymphatic system is just as fundamental. You need it to survive. It's sort of the unsung hero working silently inside you.
So, our mission today in this deep dive is simple. Let's shed some light on this often overlooked, but like totally central system.
Let's do it.
We're going to explore the world of lymph and what it does for you.
Sounds like a plan. Maybe we start by just picturing what this hidden system actually looks like
Yeah.
inside your body.
Yeah, because it really is hidden, isn't it? You've got this whole network, vessels quietly moving lymph all through your tissues, and you're likely completely unaware right now.
Mm-hmm. Completely automatic.
So, what are the key parts? What makes up this lymphatic network?
Okay, well, the foundation is the lymphatic vessels themselves. These kind of thread through almost all your body's tissues, a bit like blood vessels.
Okay.
And their main job is just carrying this fluid we call lymph. Think of them as the pathways for lymph.
Right, like the roadways for the lymph. And along these roads, we find these little stations, lymph nodes.
Exactly.
You've probably felt them, right, in your neck when you've been sick.
Precisely.
Mm.
Lymph nodes are small, sort of oval-shaped things
Yeah.
located all along the lymphatic vessels. And you actually have a surprising number of them.
Oh, yeah. How many?
Estimates are around 450 scattered through your body.
Wow, 450. Where are they mostly concentrated?
They tend to cluster in certain areas, like your armpits, your groin, your abdomen, and, yeah, like you said, your neck. In fact, you can often gently feel the lymph nodes in your neck, just with your fingers, that little bump you might feel. That's a real tangible part of this system right there.
Huh. That's kind of cool. You can check that yourself. So, besides these vessels and nodes, are there other places the lymphatic system is active?
Oh, yes. It's also spread out in other key areas.
Yeah.
Your gastrointestinal tract, for one,
Yeah.
we'll get to that.
Okay.
Also your bone marrow, your thymus gland, your spleen, even your tonsils. Each of these plays a specific role, which we can definitely dig into.
All right, so we're starting to map it out. But what exactly does all this interconnected stuff do? I know we mentioned a few things, but let's really break down those main functions.
Sure. The lymphatic system basically has three primary functions, all vital for keeping things balanced inside you. Homeostasis.
Okay, function one. Let's start with something maybe a bit surprising. Transporting fats. How does the system get involved with, like, the food you eat?
Right. So when you eat, your digestive system breaks down food into smaller bits, including fats.
Mm-hmm.
These nutrients then get absorbed in your gut, into your body. Now, most nutrients go straight into your bloodstream for energy or storage.
Makes sense. Blood's the delivery highway.
Exactly. But fats, they're a bit different. Your lymphatic system plays this really key role here, absorbing and transporting fats from the cells in your intestine into your bloodstream.
Really?
Yeah, there are specialized lymphatic vessels in your small intestine. They're called lacteals. They basically pick up the fats your intestinal cells have absorbed.
So the lymphatic system is like a special delivery service just for fats, helping them get from the gut into the main circulation.
That's a pretty good way to put it, yeah. And it really shows how close the lymphatic and cardiovascular systems are. Like we said, some people almost see them as one big interconnected system. They work that closely together.
Okay.
And this fat transport, it leads us nicely into the next big job, fluid drainage.
Yes, the cleanup crew. Because the circulatory system, it leaks a bit, right? It's not totally sealed.
That's exactly right. Think about your cardiovascular system. Heart pumps blood through arteries into tiny capillaries, delivering oxygen, nutrients to cells.
Standard still.
But because of the pressure in those tiny capillaries, some fluid, basically blood plasma, so water, proteins, other molecules, it inevitably leaks out into what's called the interstitial space.
A space between the cells.
Yeah.
Filled with fluid, like the body's plumbing having tiny drips.
Precisely. Yeah. Good analogy. Now, your circulatory system, it does reabsorb a lot of this leaked fluid back into the blood vessels.
Okay.
But there's always some left over. And that's where the lymphatic system steps in. It collects this remaining fluid.
Okay, so the lymph itself, it's essentially this leaked, then collected blood plasma.
Exactly. This fluid, now called lymph, enters the smallest lymphatic vessels. Then it travels through bigger and bigger ones.
Right.
Eventually, it all flows towards the two main lymphatic ducts in your body, the thoracic duct and the right lymphatic duct.
Okay, the big highways. What parts of the body do they handle?
So the right lymphatic duct, it mostly drains lymph from the upper right side, your right arm, right side of your head and neck, upper right chest.
Got it.
The thoracic duct, which is the bigger one, handles, well, pretty much the rest of the body. Left side of the head, neck, chest, both legs, the abdomen.
So these two main ducts collect lymph from everywhere. How does it get back into the blood then? It has to rejoin, right?
Yes, it needs to get back into circulation. So the thoracic duct empties into the subclavian vein on your left side, and the right lymphatic duct connects to the internal jugular vein on the right.
Ah.
That's the crucial point where a lymph returns to the blood, completes the circuit.
Okay, so it's like a big fluid recycling system. But how does the lymph actually move, especially going upwards, like from your legs, against gravity?
That's a great question. Lymphatic vessels have valves inside them, kind of like veins.
Oh, right.
These stop the lymph from flowing backward. Plus, muscle contractions, just you moving around, squeeze the vessels. And the vessel walls themselves have muscles that contract rhythmically.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of things pushing the lymph along in the right direction.
So just moving your muscles helps your lymphatic system without you thinking about it. That's pretty neat. Now, you said this drainage is super important. What happens if it doesn't work right?
Oh, it's absolutely critical. I mean, if your lymphatic system just stopped draining fluid entirely, it would actually be fatal within about 24 hours.
Wow, seriously?
Yeah, and even when it's just impaired, not working perfectly, it can lead to serious issues like lymphedema.
Lymphedema, that's swelling, right?
Exactly. Fluid builds up in the tissues, causes swelling, most common in arms or legs. And that swelling, it doesn't just feel bad, it also increases your risk of infections.
Yeah.
And even certain types of cancer in that area.
Gosh, that really underlines how vital this seemingly basic drainage job is. But you also hinted that the fluid's journey through the vessels and nodes has another benefit for our defenses.
Exactly. As the lymph travels through the lymphatic vessels, it has to pass through those lymph nodes we mentioned.
The little stations.
Right. Think of them as strategic control points. They're constantly monitoring the lymph, checking for any foreign invaders, microorganisms, abnormal cells, that kind of thing. It's like quality control for the fluid that came from your blood.
So the nodes aren't just passive filters, they're actively looking for trouble. And I remember you said they hide immune cells, which brings us to the third main function, right? Immune function.
Yes, absolutely. The lymphatic system is way more than just plumbing. It's a cornerstone of your immune system. The lymphatic organs, nodes, spleen, thymus, tonsils, they're packed with different immune cells, mostly lymphocytes.
Lymphocytes. Okay.
And these are the cells responsible for very specific immune responses against, pathogens, germs.
So it's not just a highway, it's also where a lot of the immune action kicks off. You mentioned primary and secondary lymphatic organs. What's the difference?
Good question. The primary ones, that's your thymus and your bone marrow, that's where lymphocytes are actually produced and mature, like where they grow up.
Ah, the training grounds.
Kind of, yeah. Then the secondary organs, lymph nodes, spleen, tonsils, that's where these mature lymphocytes travel to and hang out, ready to encounter threats and start an immune response.
Okay, so thymus and bone marrow make them. Secondary organs are where they're stationed, ready for deployment. And you have T cells from the thymus, B cells from bone marrow.
Precisely. Once these T and B lymphocytes mature, they circulate through lymphatic vessels and take up residence in those secondary organs. Lymph nodes are a really key location for this. You can think of lymph nodes as a kind of barracks for these lymphocytes, where they wait for the signal to activate.
And that activation happens when they meet something foreign. You said antigen presentation. What's that process?
Okay, so picture your immune system as this incredibly complex network. tissues, cells, all communicating with molecules.
Right.
Among these cells, you have patrol units, like macrophages.
Yeah.
They roam through your blood and lymph looking for anything suspicious. Microorganisms, mostly.
Like little security guards patrolling the beat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when a macrophage finds, say, a bacterium or a virus, it engulfs it, destroys it. That's phagocytosis.
Eats it, basically.
Pretty much. But here's the clever part. After destroying the invader, the macrophage takes little bits of it, proteins, usually, and displays them on its own surface, almost like waving a flag. These fragments are called antigens.
So antigens are like the identifying markers of the bad guy.
Exactly. An antigen is any foreign molecule that your immune system recognizes as not self and triggers a defense against. So once the macrophage has processed the germ and is showing its antigens,
Yeah.
it travels to the nearest lymph node to essentially show these antigens to the lymphocytes waiting there. It's like presenting evidence. Look what I found.
And that showing of antigens is what activates the lymphocytes.
That's the trigger. Yes. The lymphocytes in the node recognize these foreign antigens. That recognition sets off a whole cascade of events. The right lymphocytes get activated. They start multiplying rapidly, proliferation to build up the army. And then these activated lymphocytes leave the lymph node and travel to wherever the infection is happening in the body to fight it off.
So the lymphatic system isn't just draining fluid, it's actively identifying threats and launching the immune response right there in the lymph nodes.
Precisely. Your lymphatic organs, these structures, they maintain this crucial reserve army of immune cells, ready to go when needed. And like you hinted at, this immune function isn't just about fighting infections.
Oh, right. You mentioned its role in something else really significant.
Yeah.
Cancer.
Lymph nodes also act as surveillance points for cancer cells. If cancer cells manage to break away from a primary tumor and get into the lymphatic vessels or the blood,
Which they can do.
they can, yeah. They can be carried to nearby lymph nodes. And the immune cells in those lymph nodes can sometimes detect these cancer cells and try to mount a response against them. This is actually why doctors often check the lymph nodes near a tumor. If they find cancer cells there, it can mean the cancer has started to spread. So yeah, the lymphatic system plays this critical, though sometimes complicated, role in the body's fight against cancer too.
Wow. Okay. So this system is really juggling a lot. It's absorbing fats, it's stopping us from swelling up by draining fluids, and it's a key player in our immune defenses against germs and even cancer. It's pretty impressive when you lay it all out.
It truly is. Hopefully everyone listening now has maybe a greater appreciation for just how vital the lymphatic system is for keeping you healthy every day.
Absolutely. I know I do. It's definitely a system that deserves way more recognition. And hey, now you can share this with friends and family, impress them with your newfound lymphatic knowledge.
Exactly. And, maybe this deep dive sparks some more curiosity. Maybe you think about this. How might disruptions to this really intricate system actually show up in the body?
Yeah.
Or what fascinating things might ongoing research uncover about how it all connects with everything else inside us? It's definitely an area with more to explore.